part 3 of turning aquatic creatures into character designs. Hi guys, it's Praise Illustrations here, and I am continuing my series of turning not really well-known aquatic creatures into character designs. Part 1 and 2 are still up on my channel, so if you guys would like to take a look at those prior parts, I will put both of those info cards at the top right for you guys. Since the last part of this series was kinda a disaster, I wanted to make up for it with this part, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first creature I'm going to talk about is the leaf sheep, also known as the Costaciella kuroshimai, or the leaf slug. So of course, before stepping near my tablet pen, I was researching facts for this character so I could just jot my thoughts down, see if I could get inspired in any way. So this sea slug was discovered in 1993 off of the coast of Kuroshima in Japan. They live in tropical climates, and they can be found in the waters of Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia. Something that I thought was really interesting was that this is the only organism in the world that can photosynthesize. They perform this by a process called kleptoplasty, where they absorb the chloroplasts of the algae they feed on. So they absorb basically the membranes in the algae that allow them to indirectly photosynthesize. They are technically considered half plant, half organism. I know I wanted to experiment with different body types with this character because this creature is a bit round, but they have very sharp edges. To start off, I was looking at a few fashion ideas that were mainly green, since that was the main color palette that I tried to stay under. I saw one with like a long skirt and a long sleeve shirt, which I liked, but something about it definitely didn't sit right with me. So I scratched that, and instead I looked at fashion trends that were well known or were popular around the 1990s. And that was when I stumbled upon an article talking about harajuku fashion. And that was when I also discovered this photo, and I was really intrigued. For those that don't know, harajuku fashion is a popular clothing style that originated in Harajuku, Tokyo. So after figuring out the route that I wanted to go with for this character, I was extremely inspired, and I jumped right into the sketching phase. So I of course experimented with body types beforehand, and I made her very round. As for her clothing, I gave her a green fluffy jacket with a hood that resembled leaves, mainly to capture the leaf sheep's body. I gave her a green skirt with 2 bows at the bottom of it to look extra cute. I wanted to do leg warmers to capture like some fluffiness, so I raised it up to her thighs and I made them very, very fluffy. Just basically turned the leg warmers into thigh warmers. To capture the antennas, I gave her 2 green bows, and I added them by her face that curl downward to capture that silhouette of the antennas. Because of sheep being in the name, I wanted to capture some essence of it into the design, so I gave her a bell choker. I originally planned on designing like an intricate choker with patterns and a heart on it, but I kind of like this idea more. I added some accessories in the hair, leaf and heart pins. I gave her some purple makeup to make the green pop, and finally to capture the 2 pink circles on a leaf sheep's face. It kind of looks like blush. I gave this character round pink glasses. Other than that, she is done. Here she is, and I'm super proud with how she turned out. Let me know what you guys think. Up next is the Thelamidia letrosea. I really hope that I'm pronouncing that right. This is a sea slug in the Chromodoridae family, and they can be found in Greece, Spain, and Portugal. In 1827, they were first discovered off of the coast of Israel, and they were recorded at a depth of 112 meters deep. I saw this interesting creature on Pinterest, and I was like, wow, this will be so easy. Right? Yeah, I designed a sea slug in part 2. Yeah. Oh, wait, did you really see how part 2 went? Well, you are wrong, because I was stumped. Literally, I was scrounging around all on the internet for interesting facts on this mollusk, but I couldn't find anything for the life of me. I looked everywhere. Then I decided to just research fashion trends that were happening at that time to sort of recover and give my brain a break. And I found a lot of vintage, which not really surprised. Like the long sleeve dresses, sleeves puffy at the shoulders, the colorful patterns, bows that were wrapped around the waist but just above the waistline. And with this design being associated with a slug and they look very droopy to me, I was just like, how about I just experiment with vintage? So that's what I did. So going into it, I felt a lot better with the design, and of course I had references for dresses, makeup, and hair accessories that were trending in the 1800s. To start off, I knew I wanted to give her a long dress with a robe in the back of it, and I wanted to put the main design that is shown on the robe. I was looking at photos of these sea slugs, and I saw this photo where the slug's back literally looked like a galaxy. It was so pretty, and I had to use this reference. I tried to make the robe very similar to the reference with a slight change in colors, of course. I gave her a long dress that wasn't as skin tight, like those dresses that aren't really tight below the bust that like flow out. Side note, you can also see how much I struggled with this freaking hand. Like, you don't know how long this took me because this is a speed paint. You don't know how long I had to use myself as a reference, how long I changed the position of the hand, the arm, how I had to redraw the shoulder multiple times. Like, it was torture, and my body was hating me at that point. I mean, I eventually got it to a point where I liked it, but I was seriously considering just hiding the arm behind the robe. But I didn't. I gave her gloves to, of course, go with the dress. You'll see in the sketch that I was debating on adding like small, thin chains to like the end of the glove, like at the top. But I changed my mind in the line art phase, and I ended up liking that a lot better. I also couldn't resist. I also gave her eyes exactly like eyes from Oshinoko because of the galaxy theme that I was sticking with, and I really liked how the eyes turned out. I also have not seen the show, which I definitely should watch. Some makeup that was trending at the time, I of course applied that to this character. So bright blue eyeshadow, a lot of blush, and pink lipstick. Also, drawing a mole on your face was very common around that time. So I also gave her a mole below her eye. I saw some accessories with feathers and pearls, so I gave her 2 feathers that go upward to represent the antennas on this sea slug, and a string of pearls that are attached to the feathers. Right below the feathers, you'll see 2 flowers that I gave her, and this is to represent the tail. I almost didn't know what it was at first. I gave her blonde hair because I figured that it would work well with the colors, and I really liked how the hair complemented the pearls. And other than that, she is done. I also really liked how I drew the lips from that angle, so here's the finished piece. I really like her now. Next up is the frogfish, and these creatures are members of the anglerfish family. These creatures can grow up to between 0.98 to 14.96 inches. They are a sit-and-wait type predator, and they can attack their prey in 6 milliseconds. They can be found in the Mediterranean Sea. There are 50 species of frogfish that exist, and they are known for their aggressive mimicry. So going into this design, I of course was looking at references and certain words or statements that stuck out to me. Masters of disguise and mimicry, aggressive, chameleon-like. Here's also a photograph of a frogfish to give some context on how actually small they can get. Just like the words that I picked up on and just the way that they're the masters of mimicry and disguise, and they seem like a little uncanny but mysterious to me, I decided to go with a jester or clown theme. I know, what a jump. Can you believe that I had a whole lore thought out for her as I was designing her? Okay, so my main idea, let me sit up right in my chair here, was that this jester has her own segment in a circus show where she does acrobatics and circus tricks. But for the opening, the crowd has to look around the tent and figure out where she is hidden under a certain amount of time, but she's camouflaged with the walls in the room. Whoever finds her gets a prize, but no one has been able to win a prize yet. When the crowd gives up, the lights will shine on her, and then she'll always do like a striking pose before starting her tricks. I pretty much centered the color palette around a black frogfish I saw that had slight pops of a khaki color. My original idea was to give her like a striped sort of design, so she would have black and white, but I ended up completely ditching that because it didn't feel like it matched with the color palette well. Another original idea I had was to give her makeup that mimicked the frogfish's mouth, with it being like downward and curled, almost like the Beaker smile. And in the sketching phase, I gave her pins in her hair, but I ended up changing that. I gave her instead a mask with the face of a frogfish. Then I removed the pins and I gave her a headpiece that captures the silhouette of a frogfish's fin. I gave her black hair with slight streaks of blonde, and for the blonde part, I didn't do that until the last minute, but I ended up really liking that idea. I put it in a bun to capture the little horn that they have on the top of their head in the sketching phase, and what I ended up doing was I gave her a short corseted dress with an undershirt, and I added a bow in the front. And for some reason, I cannot tell you why, I also decided to make her flat-chested. I was also super inspired by Helva Boss, mainly Fizzarelli and Glam, and I wanted to incorporate some aspects into this design. I gave this character 2 bionic arms, and not only was this inspired by Fizzarelli, I thought adding an additional set of arms would capture the other set of fins that the frogfish has. Off topic, but just the way that these creatures are on the bottom of the ocean floor and they have their arms pressed on the ground, they look kind of cute. They're like tiny little sea dogs. For the arms, you can see that I added strings also, but I changed my mind to bionic arms instead. As for her makeup, I gave her eyelashes that were heavily inspired by Glam, and I gave her a lot of black makeup. Finally, I added her a choker that is pretty pointy, that extends outward, and I did this to capture the strings that grow on a frogfish, specifically the spines or hair that grow on them. And finally, she is done. Here she is, and I'm actually super happy with how she turned out. I accidentally removed the highlights in her eyes for a second, and she ended up looking a lot more mysterious and a little bit scary to me. Does she look better without it? You tell me. And finally, the final creature that I will be talking about is the Hawaiian Bobtail Squid, otherwise known as the Eupremna scolops. Eupremna scolops? I'm so sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing this so badly. This cunning creature can be found off of the coast of Hawaii, and they are native to the Pacific Ocean. They can grow up to 1.2 inches in length. They are currently a threatened species, and these creatures are surprisingly used in experiments by the International Space Station. In 2021, the International Space Station released bobtail squids and tardigrades into space to conduct an investigation for spaceflight. Another interesting fact that I found out was that these creatures have a bioluminescent bacteria in their mantle that they use to mimic moonlight. They are very much inactive during the day, and they bury themselves in the sand. During the night, however, they use their quote-unquote invisibility cloak and pretty much just drift throughout the ocean for prey. Interestingly enough, these creatures are also a sit-and-wait type predator, and they are also known for their mimicry for moonlight. And guys, those 2 words were all I needed to hear. Guys, hear me out. Just hear me out. Wait. What if? Just what if I make this character into a circus act who accompanies my prior design, and they both have a duo act at night? Maybe like a potential love story that I'm thinking of? What if? Wait, what if nothing? I'm holding the tablet pen. Nothing could stop me. Let's do this. Design time, let's go. So I, of course, was looking into references of bodysuits, as well as certain designs I wanted to get inspiration from for this character, since I had a feeling that she would be pretty easy, and I was so right. She was really easy. To start off, I gave her a long sleeve bodysuit with different shades of red spots to capture the dots that are throughout the squid's body. I gave her orange hair to stay within that color palette. I put her hair in a bun, and I gave her 2 bows on the sides of her head to capture the little fins by the squid's face. I also gave her lashes inspired by Glam from Helva Boss to stay within that theme. I gave her a bunch of freckles to add onto the dots. And then I gave her flowy elbow sleeves with a sheer white cloth that goes down her arms. Finally, I gave her a stringy cape that is attached to her suit to capture the silhouette of the bobtail's tentacles. So here she is, and I'm also very proud with how she turned out. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, here we are at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for being here and staying until the end. Here are all of the designs I did for this video, and here are all of the designs I did from part 1 and 2. All of the parts I did are on my channel, so feel free to check them out. I'll also leave the links for all of the parts I did in the description. If you guys like this video, or if you guys would like to see more, feel free to let me know in the comments as well. I hope you guys like and subscribe to see more of me, and of course, stay hydrated, stay safe, and of course, stay tuned, you guys. Bye!